You're listening to the Talk of Delmarva, 92.7, 98.5. Let's welcome in our good friend Ted Myrmagos, the Director of Division of Child Support Services. Ted comes once a month, second Wednesday of every month. Is it the third?
Yeah.
Third Wednesday of every... I'm all thrown off that. Jennifer's she's shaking her head at me. Third Wednesday of every month to talk to you about child support services here in Delaware. Your questions are important. We continue to get email questions. I get the questions. I pass them on to Ted. So as the troubleshooter, he can get involved. And we'll get to those a little bit later. But, Ted, you have some important information to report this morning on child support enforcement that we get calls on all the time, right?
Yeah. You know, when we, Jake, thanks for having me down. I really appreciate coming and talking to you and the folks down here in Sussex County and now in Kent County. Yeah. You know, I sent you some information earlier today. You know, we, as I come here, you know, I like to go out and meet with individuals in the public setting. And I had an opportunity in late July to meet with a bunch of non-custodial parents who, had some very interesting things to say about their child support situation. And I always like to use that opportunity as an opportunity for me to share information about the program. You know, some of the things we talk about has to do with, you know, their role in the process to make it a seamless situation.
Which is important because they have an important role.
Yeah, they have to be responsible for what their situation is. But one of the things that a non-custodial parent brought up to us was, you know, he was driving to work one day and got pulled over on 95 in Wilmington, and the police officer said to him, you know, your license is suspended for child support. But he was going to work, you know, his employer was sending in wage withholding payments for a consistent amount of time. We've been receiving them. He either forgot that his license was suspended for child support or didn't want to go and try to resolve it because he thought maybe it was too late. But it got us thinking, you know, how many other individuals out there did we suspend their licenses years ago? And they're working or they're sending...
They're now making good faith effort to comply with their requirements.
And they're making those payments regularly. So we went back and looked at our cases since that we've suspended licenses since 2013. And we added a piece of information. How many of those cases are payments coming in and have been coming in for the last 6 months or more? And we realized that there was about 1,300 cases that licenses were suspended, payments are coming in consistently over at least the last 6 months. And we went ahead at child support and just and reinstated about 1,100 of those cases. So it's about 86% of that 1,300. So we went ahead and reinstated those licenses for non-custodial parents, and we're in the process right now of sending them a letter from the director's office.
Notifying them that their license has been reinstated.
Reinstated, and that they can go to the DMV, and there's going to be a fee they have to pay at the DMV, but they'll be able to get their driver's license back, or go to the Division of Revenue to get a business license back, or DENREC for hunting and fishing and so on. Right. So we were really, you know, this is something that I think we're going to do every year. And, you know, at the end of every year, go back and look. Since 2013, when we went into our new child support system, how many licenses did we suspend and where payments are coming in for the last 6 months? And let's just go ahead and reinstate those licenses.
So this all came about, Ted, because of a listen and learn session that you had with non-custodial parents. You heard that this might be an issue.
Right.
You looked into it, and now because they sat down with you and expressed what they were going through, or what one person went through, you've now instituted a policy where you're going to check, I guess, annually to see if, great. Okay.
Yeah, and, you know, and one of the things, and it's important for people to know, it's like, if you're a non-custodial parent out there and you're saying, you know, gee, someone wants to give me a break. You know, we'll go ahead and arbitrarily just reinstate my driver's license. If I start doing what I need to do, start to be responsible and start making those payments on a regular basis, you know, that's for information purposes. We want non-custodial parents to know we want to work with you, but it's going to take some action on your behalf to get those payments in the door on a regular basis, and you know we'll go ahead and try to accommodate you and get you that driver's license back.
Now, if there's a non-custodial parent listening today in a current similar situation,
right.
things do fall through the cracks. Can they call your office and say, I've been making payments.
Yeah.
My license is still suspended. Can they do that?
Yeah, Jake, they can call our customer service unit. That's 302-577-7171. Talk to a child support specialist. And we try to be very flexible when we talk about the license suspension process. The current policy is that you need to make a lump sum payment worth 2 months of your child support, and we'll go ahead and reinstate it. But we're flexible. If you provide us with a place of employment and you make that first month, make a 1 month payment instead of two, we'll give you your license back. So we can go ahead and issue that wage withholding to the employer.
Is it all about what the intent is of the non-custodial parent? You look at it and you say they are trying their very best to make the payments, generally making the payments on time.
Yeah.
Is that what you and your office are looking for, indication of that?
Yeah, exactly. And sometimes, it takes people in their own situation say, it's time for me to get back on track. It's time for me to be responsible and to pay that child support as the courts have ordered. But so we want to work with them. And we've talked about this in the past. That letter, we have to send them a letter whenever we take an administrative action, like suspending a license.
Right.
That letter is a conversation starter. We want people to open that piece of mail and call us, because we will work with you to give you that license back. But I was so when I saw those numbers, 86% of those 1,300 licenses were reinstated. I mean, that's telling me we need to do this every year and try to give people back their licenses, especially when they're doing things the right way.
If you have questions for Ted Myrmagos, Ted is the director of the Division of Child Support Services. He's with us the third Wednesday of every month. I missed a Wednesday there someplace. But give us a call right now, 302-945-9292 on the Lewis Meineke Doing Car Care Right talk line. Ted is here to answer your questions and address your concerns. 800-518-9292. If you're listening in Kent County, 800-518-9292. When we come back, we're going to address some of the email communications that was sent to me by Delaware residents, and then I forwarded on to Ted. We're not going to say any names, but you may recognize a situation similar to what you're going through right now, and that's helpful, and Ted will address what he did on behalf of those custodial parents or non-custodial parents in just a moment. But your calls also at 302-945-9292. More with Ted Myrmagos, the director of the Division of Child Support Services, in just a moment.
This WGMD weather report is covered by Bracier's Pest Control. Save on mosquito, tick, or termite protection. Find coupons at bracierspestcontrol.com.
And paid for by Open Jar Concepts. Attention firefighters, members of the military, and airport workers. For decades, first responders and firefighters at military bases and airports used a chemical-based foam to fight fires. Studies have shown the chemicals used to make aqueous film-forming foam, or AFFF, are highly toxic to humans and have been associated with several types of cancer. If you or someone you know was exposed to AFFF and were diagnosed with any of these cancers, including kidney, bladder, prostate, pancreatic, lymphoma, leukemia, testicular, and neuroendocrine, then you should call us immediately, because you may be entitled to significant cash compensation. Call us at 800-261-4885. Our experienced attorneys will fight to get you the compensation you deserve, and you pay nothing unless we get a recovery in your favor. Time is limited to file a claim, so call us now at 800-261-4885. Operators are standing by 24/7, so don't wait. 800-261-4885. That's 800-261-4885. Again, 800-261-4885.
You have seen him on TV on Fox and Friends. You have downloaded his podcasts, and you have read his books. Now, Dan Bongino comes to you with a radio show each weekday from noon until 3, right here, 92.7 WGMD. The best mix of news, talk, and sports. 92.7 and 98.5 WGMD.
Broadcasting from the Lewis Meineke Car Care Center studio. It's Delmarva Live, here on 92.7 WGMD. The talk of Delmarva.
Let's go to the phones on the Lewis Meineke Doing Car Care Right talk line. Your calls now, your questions, your concerns for Ted Myrmagos.
Go
ahead.
Bob and Lewis.
Yes, Bob.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Loud and clear. Go ahead.
Oh, hey, I was going to email you. So you have to have a driver's license to have a job mostly, and you've got to have a job to have money to pay child support. I'm obviously in favor of paying child support. In fact, I encourage somebody to contact Mr. Maragos, and he did a great job for that person. Wonderful. Thank you, Ted.
Thank you.
But why can't the state use other ways to encourage or compel people to pay their child support besides pulling their license first? Because, and I understand that most 86% of the people get their license back eventually, but it seems to me totally counterproductive to pull the driver's license first. Are there other ways that can be used besides pulling the license to compel them to pay their child support? Just a thought. Thanks.
Right.
Well, thanks, Bob. That's a very good question, Ted. I know the answer because we've talked about it before, but go ahead.
It's an excellent question, and it's more than just the driver's license. There is, and Jake, as you know from living in Delaware, hunting and fishing licenses
very important.
Very important, and it does get people kind of motivated to do the right thing.
But these license suspensions are a last resort.
They are a last resort, right. and it's. Like I said, it's a way to start the conversation about trying to get people back on track with their child support payments. We have a ton of other enforcement tools. We've talked about because I think that's what he's, why not do other things? We do other things, intercepting state and federal tax refunds, passports. We can deny someone getting a new passport. We report people to the credit bureaus. So there are a wide variety of different enforcement tools, but not every enforcement tool works for every particular child support situation. So it's like kind of throwing a menu of items to see which one will actually help to enforce a particular child support case. We want people to have their licenses. We want people to work.
Yeah.
And we want those. Yeah. We want to be able to send that wage withholding to an employer who can make the deduction from a person's paycheck and send it to the child support program. That's easier for the non-custodial parent. It's more secure for the custodial parent when someone is employed, and that employer is able to send a payment on behalf of that non-custodial parent for child support.
Do you remember when Representative Tim Dukes called into the show that time, and what he said, and for those of us men out there listening where, listen, the system's not fair to us. We believe that and I believe the system's not fair to men. I don't think Ted believes that's the case, but that's what I believe, and I know that others out there. But when Representative Dukes called in that day, he said something very, very profound, and that is, it's unfair to Delaware taxpayers to foot the bill for someone else's children. Period.
Right.
They should be doing whatever they can, and if they're going through difficult times, go to family court, explain the situation, show your wage statements or whatever, and get it sorted. Right.
File that petition for a modification. Right. Come to the child support office. There's nothing that if a non-custodial parent has lost their job, we will, if they call us, we will put a note in our child support system. When the custodial parent calls saying haven't gotten a child support payment, there's some we've documented that we've spoken to the non-custodial parent. He's done or she has done what they needed to do to report to us, I lost my job or I'm collecting unemployment.
But people sometimes are embarrassed, Ted, to report that, and that's why they let the situation get out of hand. Am I correct?
Absolutely. It gets out of it, but that's the thing. It gets out of hand. And if we can rein it in before it gets out of control, it's going to not only help the custodial parent, but help that non-custodial parent, because we can give them direction on what's the next steps, the most appropriate steps for their particular situation. We have a way, Jake, of exempting in our child support system, our computer system, exempting certain enforcement tools. And, we do that from time to time. We use our discretion when we talk to a non-custodial parent who maybe participates in our Delaware Fatherhood program, where we help them find training tools, help them find employment opportunities. Right. We may, exempt that license from being suspended or something along those lines.
Let's go to our next caller. Louis Meineke doing Car Care Right Time. Doing Car Care Right Talk Line. Caller, you're on the air with Ted Murmagos. Go ahead.
How you doing, Jake?
Fine, thanks.
My question is, I hear what you go through, but how about when you have a parent that doesn't pay in 4 years, all right, gone before the courts, found contempt of court, still don't pay. when are y'all going to do a sting to turn around and have these parents pay child support? That's my question. I'll listen for your answer. Thank you.
All right, go ahead. Thank you, caller. Go ahead, Ted.
And Jake, I'm not really a big proponent. That's just who I am. I'm not a big proponent of stings or banging down people's doors and dragging them out of their beds at 5 o'clock in the morning. We
have the FBI for that.
Well, I'll leave that to the FBI then. But that's not. I mean, I would rather have a communication with the non-custodial parent, work with the non-custodial parent on trying to resolve particular child support situations.
Are most of these situations like that caller just said, are most of those resolvable, Ted?
Yeah, well, and we cannot, like the about a sting or something along those lines, we can't do that for an individual if there's not if there was a civil bench warrant that KPS filed, by the family court for a failure to appear. That's when, the police sometimes have to get involved and bring people into family court. But if someone's just not paying, and there's no capias out there, there's none of that's going to take place. There's got to be that bench warrant in place by the family court. But ultimately, like I was saying, we would rather have an open communication, open dialogue with both parents to try to get compliance by the non-custodial parent. And we've talked about it before, and I sometimes get grief when I say this. Pay something. Until you can get back into family court to modify.
Show your intent to provide for your children.
Until you can go to family court and modify that child support obligation, pay what you can pay, and do the best that you can consistently to make those child support payments.
We're going to take more of your calls in the next segment, 302-945-9292. If you're listening in Kent County right now, you can call toll-free 800-518-9292. Our guest, as he is the third Wednesday of every month, Ted Myrmikos, the director of the Division of Child Support Services. Several emails that I've received this month alone, and those emails into my email address, jake.smith@wgmd.com, just as important as a phone call to this program, because that email gets forwarded right to Ted. Ted looks for my emails and then responds immediately to that situation. Ted, many of those emails come over the weekend, right?
Yeah,
so
and
I have to send you those emails over the weekend.
Yeah, and I want to encourage people, if they don't feel like calling, really do send you an email. Your last name is easier to spell than mine, so we give them your email.
Yeah. But those emails have led to a lot of various resolutions in child support problems, Ted, correct?
We always like to talk about that custodial parent. What did we give her? $10,000.
Yeah, last year.
Because she emailed you, and we were able to take a look at her situation.
I mean, what we did for her was like her winning the Publishers Clearinghouse contest, right?
You're right. It was, Jake.
All right. More with Ted in just a moment at the Talk of Delmarva. We're broadcasting today out and about from Kim Benton State Farm in Millsboro. More in just a moment. You're on the air with Ted Myrmikos and Delmarva's anchorman, Jake Smith. Go ahead, please. You're on the air. Please proceed.
Yes, I have a question about the child support.
Please, go ahead.
What is the age limit when you stop paying child support, and what to do when to reach that age limit?
Okay, so
good question.
Yep. So the age of emancipation for a child is the age of 18, unless they are still in high school, and then it would be the date that they graduate from high school. If they're still in high school after the age of 18, it's the age 19 is the end.
That's it.
There's nothing after the age of 19.
You party when they reach 19, then.
Unless they graduate from high school and they're 18.
Okay.
And when that happens, if we have a case here at the child support office, we will help them. We can file the appropriate documents with the family court to remove that current support obligation. Now, there may still be an arrears balance, and if that's the case, the courts would expect that the arrears be paid off.
Okay.
And sometimes, Jake, what they do is the courts convert that current support obligation. They either add it to whatever is an existing arrears payment, or they just convert it to an arrears payment. So the wage attachment amount doesn't change, the ordered amount doesn't change. The one good thing that does change is there's no more current support. Right. So any payment that comes in when the case is an arrears-only case is only going to subtract from the balance.
Okay.
And once that arrears is it's zero, paid in full, they're done.
Now, when you make those payments on arrears, those payments get sent to the custodial parent?
Correct.
Okay.
If the arrears are owed to the custodial parent, they would be sent to the custodial parent. In some cases, those arrears may be owed to the state of Delaware, and those payments would be retained by the state.
302-945-9292, 800-518-9292 if you're listening in Kent County. If you're in Sussex County, 302-945-9292. Ted Myrmikos is with us, the director of the Division of Child Support Services. And let's go to, Ted, while we're waiting for more calls to come in, let's read some of these emails that came in just this month.
Okay.
This listener from Newcastle County, she said, Child Support Office will not answer their phones. Can you please have them call me with a new number or something? I need to talk about my interstate case. I don't want to give the person's name out, but okay, go ahead, Ted.
So, so we talked a little bit about this before going on the air today. You know, we're experiencing, we have our customer service unit, but we have been experiencing some vacancies, and there has been a higher wait time for people who are calling into the child support office. Ultimately, and honestly, those wait times concern me because I don't want to be on hold when I'm calling somewhere very long.
No one does.
No
really.
one does.
Who wants to be on hold, right?
But we are experiencing a significant number of vacancies in specifically our customer service unit. We do have the functionality to expand those call lines so we can watch the queue when that queue continues to go up, or people are on hold for an existing a longer period of time. We can get other people on the phones to kind of help reduce that backlog.
Right. Understood.
But it's just trying to stay ahead of that curve. You know, one of the things that I responded to this person directly, as I always do,
I know.
And I responded to them by saying, we have that customer website through that my.delaware.gov. I've talked about it before.
Yes, that's right, you have.
I'm trying to still make contact with somebody from the Department of Technology and Information to help tell me what we can do to promote it even more. But our customer website through the my.delaware.gov site will give people the opportunity to email their worker. So once they sign up for the child support customer website.
And they have a record when that email goes out.
That's right.
That they're contacting you. That might come in handy sometimes if you're trying to prove to the family court, I made a contact.
Or if they want to say, well, this is what the child support specialist said to me in writing.
Absolutely.
That kind of thing.
There's an email trail there, right?
So I'm always encouraging people, because I think there was another email over the last month about wait times, and I encourage that person also to sign up for that child support customer website. All Delawareans, even you, Jake, can go to my.delaware.gov.
I don't think they want me, Ted.
Well,
they hate me up in Dover, so I don't think they want me.
But you can do it. As a Delaware citizen, you can sign up at my.delaware.gov.
Sorry, Ted, go ahead.
Well, but you can sign up, and there's going to be other apps, not just child support. The Division of Motor Vehicles is going to be there. Other state agencies are going to be having their systems on that.
We will certainly, the Talk of Delmarva will certainly run with public service announcements, encouraging people to go to the website if that will help. We'd be glad to do that.
Right, and like I said, I've been reaching out to the Department of Technology and Information too, because I want to. If there's pamphlets I can hand out, if there's information that we can put on our website, I certainly want to do it to promote that.
We will continue to talk about it on this program the third Wednesday of every month.
There you go.
All right, next email. And again, if you want to talk to Ted, you have a question for him, 302-945-9292. Sussex County, if you're in Kent County, 800-518-9292. We also have people who have called in from other states.
That's right.
Because they had children in Delaware that had questions for Ted. So wherever you are in the United States, you can call toll-free 800-518-9292. All right, next question. We'll leave the person's name out. How do I file a complaint against child support? I owed money. I paid what I owed and never received my taxes or stimulus I requested for audit to send me a printout of the funds that I owed. Now, this is a woman who's a non-custodial parent, Ted. I wanted to point that out because I know we say that the men are the ones who are always getting hammered. But here is a woman who's a non-custodial parent.
That's right.
Ted, what did you do with respect to this email?
Right. So she like you said, she's a non-custodial parent. She only has an arrears only case, so there's no current support.
Okay, that's a case you were just talking about a moment ago, right?
So she's got an arrears only. The current support has been revoked. And I sent her a response and included in that email an account statement that showed what her outstanding balance was. she corresponded back and forth with me a little bit, and she's still in a kind of a disagreement about what the arrears balance remaining is. But we're working through that issue with her. She's going to file with the family court, which
was her license suspended?
Jake, her balance is not really that much. I don't even think it met the threshold. The threshold for license suspension is $3,500.
But it was an issue for her.
It was an issue. She wants to have that case closed, as do we. You know, she
doesn't want it hanging over her anymore.
That's right. Her amount that she owes right now is so minimal that she could get this thing done by the end of the year. Quite honestly, and. What I said to her was she could file at family court, but they're going to just go by what the account record is. And I said, just start making, because this is that situation, pay what you can pay, because everything you pay on that arrears only case
will be applied to the arrears.
It's going to get to zero quickly. Yep.
Now, here's another email. Hi, I have tried several times to get a live person at child support only to be on hold for over an hour. Well, I work and cannot hold. I need to speak to someone at child support. Well, Ted, this is the same situation. Yep. They would benefit, it seems to me, by going to the website.
Yep. What was it? Do you remember? my.delaware.gov.
My.delaware.gov, right. And going via email, because of your work, you obviously can respond to an email.
That's right. And I sent her the same information.
Okay.
Certainly. And Jake, I apologized, to both of those callers, because I don't want them on hold for that amount of time.
Maybe they're looking for a job, Ted. There might be some people. They're experienced people. All right, let's go to phone. Max is indicating we have a phone call. Caller, go ahead. You're on the air with Ted Myrmagos, the Director of the Division of Child Support Services. Go ahead. Caller, are you there? Going once? Going twice? All right, well, that caller was not there. We're going to step away for just a moment on the talk of Delmarva. We have a weather forecast to present to you here on the talk of Delmarva, 92.7, 98.5, and then more of your calls, questions, and more discussion on child support services here in the first date with Ted Myrmagos, the Director of the Division of Child Support Services, back after this. My favorite song of all time. Everybody knows this, Ted. You know what this song is? No, you're too young.
No. I don't.
It's the Grassroots.
Okay.
Yeah, 1971, Temptation Eyes. The spring of 1971, actually. And I'll never tell the world why that's my favorite song of all time. However, we are talking with Ted Myrmagos, the Director of the Division of Child Support Services. We're giving you the opportunity to ask your questions to Ted. And again, if you have an email-related question, you can email me, jake.smith@wgmd.com. And what I do is I forward that email immediately to Ted. So it gets right through all the red tape. You go right to the head guy, the big guy. He answers you and responds. And I think it's made a big difference. Ted, this is the only, I think, radio segment of its kind in the country, and you've talked to other heads of Division of Child Support Services in other other states, but they have actually, you've actually talked to them about this radio segment, right?
Absolutely, Jake. And I think you're right. And they were extremely impressed with the amount of outreach that we do, that you've taken on every month, and even, I hate to even say this, but some of the looks that they were giving me, like, are
you crazy?
Yeah, like, why would you put yourself out there like that? But it
hasn't been like that at all, has it?
And these calls today that's what makes me really happy, is that, hey, people are calling in, they want answers to their questions.
They see this as an opportunity.
Yeah, but they were looking at me like, you got to be out of your mind to want to do something and put yourself out there like that. But I try to encourage them to at least try it and get out there and really see what they can do to answer these questions. Because really it's about promoting the child support program too. I want custodial parents who need help to come to us and let us intervene. I want non-custodial parents who feel like you were saying, they're frustrated with the system. Well, let's try to help them maneuver through this child support system that sometimes can be a little difficult.
Non-custodial parents, Ted, until you talked about the meet and greet that you had with these they don't have a lot of places to turn for advice, right?
Right. And I want to, Jake, I want to be able to do more of them in all three counties, and talk to non-custodial parents who, I may not have all the answers. And quite honestly, a lot of the things that we talked about at that meeting were issues for the family court to resolve.
Right.
But we tried to get them in the right direction on who to go talk to at the family court, and try to help them get in the right direction, and they appreciated it. We were honest, we were upfront with them that it is their responsibility. They got to take accountability for their responsibility over the child support situation.
The new family court building being constructed in Georgetown, will that new facility, you think, help the current situation? Because the current family court is a really small, cramped building.
And they're actually Jake, building a courthouse in Kent County too.
Oh, okay.
In Kent County and in Sussex County, and yeah, absolutely. And not only for individuals needing to access the court, but for the court employees who go into those cramped spaces, it will make things a lot better. And I think actually have an impact on diffusing some situations that sometimes can get a little volatile. So, yeah, I'm really excited to see what the courts, the new courthouses look like, both here in Kent and in Sussex County. We have offices in both of those courthouses, so the court was they were very gracious to give us
the Division of Child Support Services has offices. Well, let's put it that way. Given the space allowed, right?
Right, but it's for our people that go to family court for mediation. I mean, they didn't have to give us office space over there. We still have the 3 offices in each county.
And could you tell us, our listeners, where those offices are, starting with Newcastle County and coming down?
So in Newcastle County, we're located at 84A Christiana Road. It's also known as Route 273.
Right.
I always tell people we're about a quarter of a mile west of Route 13. If you head west off of 13, you'll see it. We're in the Churchman's Corporate Center. In Dover, we are located at 905 South Governors Avenue, about half a mile south of Kent General Hospital.
Right.
And then down here in Sussex County, man, there's so many numbers in the address, but we're in that professional office park on 113, right across from the Walmart in that area. The Department of Labor, I believe, is also in that.
Ted's 2 doors down from my asthma doctor.
There you go.
Where he is. Every time I go to get my asthma shot once a month, I look for Ted's car and I don't see it in the parking lot.
I'm usually in Newcastle County, sometimes in the Kent County office. I do, like right after here, I'll be going to the Georgetown
one day, if you're there, if I see you, I'm going to bang on your door.
You know what, Jake? You're welcome to come to any of our offices. I'd love to give you a tour. And especially...
do I have to wear my official shirt that I got from you last year, the Department of Child Support Services shirt? Go ahead.
Yeah, I would really like to show you our Newcastle County office, because that's where our state disbursement unit is, and that's where all of the child support payments come. And there's a pretty neat way that we log and process those child support payments and load them right to our child support system. So it's pretty impressive. And I'd really like to give you a tour.
Maybe we could do the show, segment from there one day. Wouldn't that be interesting?
That would be interesting, and I would absolutely love that.
Get some of your people on to talk about. And they're under a lot of stress. Let's face it. They're not dealing with a lot of very happy situations, Ted, right?
Yep. And what I sometimes will say, and it caught a little grief by some legislators up in Dover, but, we're dealing with broken families. We're dealing with broken relationships. And we're dealing with, taking money, getting money from one person and giving it to someone else. And I mean, it makes for a difficult situation sometimes. So being able to communicate with both parties in a child support case, I think helps kind of ease that burden. And
in the years that we've been doing this segment, it's hard to believe we're in years already, Ted, but the fall season is coming tomorrow. We're going to be talking about the holidays and Christmas.
Yep.
Your workload in your office is going to increase because people are worried that they're not going to get support around the holidays for their children. Tell us what we've talked about this repeatedly, but it means...
Well, and I'm glad you brought it up today, because one of the things we often say is don't wait until November, don't wait till December or 1st of December.
Right.
You got to start communicating with us now. If you're not receiving your court-ordered child support, or maybe you've thrown your hands up, given up on your case, don't do that. Call us, and let's see what we can do to try.
The kids deserve a Christmas.
They do. I mean, they do.
That's what it's all about, in my estimation.
And we get some of our best information, Jake, from custodial parents, from the other party, from non-custodial parents who are calling us about their situation. Right. So we need them to provide us with information sometimes to get that case jump-started, or to file that contempt petition at family court. You got to do it now. You can't wait until December and expect it to get wrapped up by...
You and I have been on the air in November, and you're saying, there's really no time to do anything now. It's too late. So now is the time, and we've talked about this. And again, if you want to notify your office of the situation to try to at least ensure that your children will have some type of Christmas this year, how should they go about it? Visit each of the offices. Is that the best case scenario?
Yep. Our 3 offices are open. They can come to any of those offices. They can reach us at that 302-577-7171. If they have a case number, they can go to my.delaware.gov and look for the Delaware Child Support, the DCSS customer website, and create a username and password. They can print an account statement at home through that website. They can send us information about him. This is for custodial and non-custodial parents. A non-custodial parent can send us information about a new employer electronically, and we can go ahead and send a wage withholding out. So, I'm really, as you can tell, Jake, I'm really pushing that website because...
Well, it seems to me, Ted, based on the fact you're finding difficulty hiring people, the best way to get or make your office aware of a situation is to go on that website.
And we were joking a little bit, about finding employees. If someone thinks that if someone is in need of a state job, I'm pro state employment.
No, of course, I understand.
And if someone thinks that they would qualify to be a child support worker, to work in our accounting unit, go to the Delaware State of Delaware website and apply for some of the positions.
Someone who has gone through the child support system and knows how important it is that the type of employee that you're looking for that could be sympathetic and so forth?
Yeah, and they can speak from experience. And we have ways that we can prevent people from, like somebody's probably saying, well, how do I know they're not going to look at my case, or how do I know they're not going to work their own case? We have ways of preventing people from accessing their own child support situation, or if they have a question about their own case, an employee, they know who to go to ask that question. So, but yeah, people who have a child support case bring a certain perspective to the table.
There you go.
And we're looking for people. I'm not joking here. We are looking for people.
If you get applicants, Ted, you owe me lunch after our next time.
Absolutely, dinner.
Dinner. Okay, there you go. Ted, thanks so much for coming back and coming all the way down to Sussex County. Ted Murmagos, the director of the Division of Child Support Services. Again, if you're concerned about the holidays for your kids, now's the time to get in touch with the Division of Child Support Services. Remember those emails. If you've got any questions, concerns for Ted, send them to me, jake.smith@wgmd.com. I will get that email immediately upon receipt. I send it to Ted, and then Ted gets to work on it.
Yep.
Ted, thanks. See you next month, my friend.
Thank you.
You're listening to the Talk of Delmarva, 92.7, 98.